It's time for Show Me the Franchise.
With Thomas and Frederick. With Thomas and Frederick.
It's time for Show Me the Franchise.
With Thomas and Frederick. With Thomas and Frederick.
Welcome to Show Me the Franchise, the podcast that talks about franchises of all shapes, sizes, backgrounds, genres, and types. I am one of your hosts, Tom Stadler, here as usual with Mr. McNugget himself. If there was a Nugget burglar, there would be him.
I did it all for the Nuggets.
Mr. Frederick.
Yeah, how you doing, Tom?
I'm feeling pretty good, man. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling, I mean, right now where we're at, it's quite cold outside. So I'm happy to be in a warm studio with you. And you're bringing the warmth with a beautiful sweater.
Oh, thank you. And you're bringing just like confidence. You're kind of like the cock of the walk, like a rooster walking around the yard, just telling us what to do, making us feel like you're in charge. But I'm here for it.
Yeah, hey, man, I'm just trying to rally this. It's another food tournament, Fred. We're on our 4th annual food tournament this week.
Wow. I thought we would have run out of fast food things to try, but apparently we have not yet.
Well, do we want to talk to the audience a little bit of just about like how we've been kind of scrambling for ideas? I mean, not scrambling. I think there's been a lot of more debate recently on what we want to do.
Well, it's always hard to find one type of item that kind of goes across all the different fast food, places. A lot of them do have nuggets or burgers, and we were just trying to find something new. But I think there was an announcement with a place that was pretty near to our hearts that made the stars align.
Indeed. And we have somebody here who has some expertise on that particular branch.
Ooh.
So we are, of course, talking about chicken nuggets. We're going to be taste testing chicken nuggets this week. But let's get our guests introduced here, lest I wait any longer to do that. We have, of course, returning Mr. Joe Francisco.
Hey, everybody. Franchise Francisco is back, baby.
Francisco?
Yeah. And I got to say, it's my first time in the new studio. Love what you've done with the place. This is
Thanks,
great.
Joe. I know you knew this place pretty well.
Yeah, it felt familiar.
Once upon a time, you did a lot of work in here.
Yeah,
This is
I did.
Joe's old office that we are in currently. And, of course, my now wife,
Whoa.
Whoa.
my beautiful bride, Jasmine Gonzalez.
Hello, we made it, everyone. If you've been following the saga of our relationship across this podcast, we're married now. Hey.
It's true.
Yay.
Woohoo.
Everyone in this room was at that wedding. It was great.
It's true. Joe was my best man, and Fred was a perfect usher.
Thank
Got
you.
the job done
For sure.
despite some badgering from family.
Look, I just had to let them know at that day I was the rooster.
Yeah.
Just saying,
The Badgers, they know who they are.
They do. They listen.
The badgerers they're anonymous right now, but they know who they are. Guys, it's great to have you all back. This is our first episode of the new year that we're recording in the new year. Technically, we dropped an episode on January 1st, but that was recorded before then. So 2025 is officially in full swing here. We are rocking and rolling. And of course, we're back here with another food tournament episode. What we were referring to before, just to kind of pick up the threads that Fred threw out there, the thread that Fred threw out.
Fred that Fred.
I think Dr. Seuss is still kicking around in my head. But is that Taco Bell had announced a chicken nugget promotion. And we were like, hell yeah, let's do it. But like Taco Bell loves to do to us, they love to throw us a curveball at the last minute.
Discontinued.
Unbelievable.
Boo.
Boo.
Literally the day before we recorded this podcast, there were articles being dropped by outlets being like, we tried these new Taco Bell chicken nuggets. The Uber Eats app still has in their banner, limited time only item, chicken nuggets. Fred went there today, and what happened?
I rolled up, and then, we've talked about it, the Layton Taco Bell. That is the one in our area that we generally recommend, although we're running out of Taco Bells in this area, man. Who knows where to go? But I roll up, and they had the big display, like, try our nuggets. Look at all these sauces. They told me they were discontinued.
Cowardly.
Tragedy.
You couldn't whip me up something like a nugget back there?
Yeah, their PR firm didn't reach out to us. What happened here?
Yeah, for real. Here
All
we're.
those targeted ads for nothing. Truly.
But Taco Bell loves to mess around with their limited time items, right? I mean, Jasmine, you talked about this at length when we did our Cheez-It episode last time.
Yeah, I don't know. It wasn't like this back in my day. Back in my day, we had plenty of supplies, and if it ran out, one of us had to run out there as fast as we could and take that sign off and put it on the old menu board. Like, nobody knew that it was like there or not, because it was like, oh, it's gone now. It's not on the menu. It can't get mad at us. So it's like wild that it's being promoted everywhere. We can't get it.
Yeah, so I just got my double stacks and bailed.
That's the right decision. The absolute right decision. I'm disappointed, but also, you know what? I kind of feel maybe this gets us down to the issue at hand here. We're going down to the chains that are offering chicken nuggets on the regular. They're not cowards and have limited time menu items. They're offering it every day for all the hungry chicken nugget lovers out there in the world, right, guys?
That's right.
Joe's still doing that best man energy there. So today we'll be talking about 4 different franchises, although we'll kind of talk around a couple other ones too, because we are recording this also on a Sunday, and the one chicken franchise that is not open on Sundays is Chick-fil-A. So there might be, we might have to just talk about some other nuggets a little bit, but we are talking about McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, and Kentucky Fried Chicken, KFC for those who are in the know. Guys, what are your thoughts about chicken nuggets? Like, when were you first exposed to chicken nuggets?
I want to hear from our guests.
Why is everyone looking at me? I don't know. I mean, the earliest I can think about like chicken nuggets is when I was in elementary school. My dad would get out of work early on Fridays, and so he would come pick me up on Fridays, and we would always go to McDonald's, and that was like our thing, like our end of the week. Like, he's done with work early, I'm out of school, and I would always get like chicken nuggets, and he would usually get like a Big Mac and such. So like chicken McNuggets are just like, they were always like a treat like that, like as long as I can remember. And like that was like the nugget. That was just like the one that like I knew like that like everything else stacked up, against. And then I think when I was in like high school, there was a Wendy's walking distance from our campus, and so that became like the new place to get nuggets, and it was like totally different style sauces, etc. So I don't know, I think they've just kind of been like ever present for me. And I think like one thing I said about when we were picking out like, where do we pick our chicken nuggets from, it's like it has to be something that if I'm driving on the highway, like I can pull off at like almost any exit and I can find like one of these nuggets, because like that's how present they are, I think, in like American culture. Like they're just everywhere.
They are. Although
McDonald's is going to be like, we discontinued the nuggets. I'm sorry.
Sorry, we're a burger only joint.
McDonald's like, we're not in the nugget game anymore. Only the McDonald's.
We got out. It was too hot.
It's been a good run. We lost the chicken wars.
Well, what I was going to say, though, too, is I think now you get so many different types of chicken products from all these places. Or if you want to go boneless chicken, right? Because there's boneless chicken wings. You have chicken tenders. You have chicken bites or popcorn chicken, right? So it seems like there are a lot of different things. So it's tough to nail down what is a chicken nugget specifically. But I think we got it down today. We got the base nugs from the place that got them.
And I want to hear Joe's nug origin story, but I want to ask everyone, like when you guys were kids and you're getting like your young McDonald's or whatever, was it nugs over burgers all the time, or were you mixing it up? I'm just curious.
Yeah, for me, it was mainly nuggets as a kid, because I think when it comes to nuggets, I feel like I have nostalgia for like all fast food chains, because I think just being a 90s kid, that was just so prevalent then. But the nuggets in particular, I think, you get like a Happy Meal, or like they were easy for kids to eat because you weren't going to be like dropping stuff all over the place. Right. So nuggets are just like, they just make me think of childhood just because it was so common ordering as a kid.
Yeah, what about you, Jess?
Yeah, nuggets for sure. I felt like you almost like grew into burgers at some point. Like once you were like in middle school, you're like, I'm gonna get a cheeseburger. And, like I can do like pickles and onions now or whatever. Like I think the first time I ever had a Big Mac like was in high school, because I finally felt like I had like the appetite to do it, which is wild. But yeah, no, it's definitely nugs all the way. And I think even like nowadays, like kind of hard to break away from like a chicken McNugget, you know, or a Wendy's nug, because it's like, oh, they're so good, and they do remind me of childhood, and they're pretty consistent. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah, that's what I think most people were. They had the nuggets, and then like the burger stuff came later.
No, see, I was the opposite. I was a cheeseburger kid. So.
I was a burger boy as well.
Oh, is that right? Were you McDonald's or were you Wendy's?
Yeah, I would. We didn't have Wendy's in Tawny Town. I didn't even know if I knew what that was.
Fred, where did you come from?
I grew up in a small town. Hard to get nuggets in a small town. Oh, but I would say for me, like I did have McDonald's nuggets, but usually I'd get like the little cheeseburger Happy Meal. I think I'd call it a Hengelburger. And the nuggets that I remember the most were actually my grandmother's nuggets.
Oh.
She would just kind of take chicken breasts, do like basic like I think Italian breadcrumbs, you know, batter like that, cook them up, just dip them in honey. That's what I had as a child most of the time. But I did just see most kids, because I was still getting my burgers, getting the chicken nuggets. I feel later in life, like I always kind of never ordered them, but I always looked on them, had a few here and there, and like I've always been interested. But you know, I just always want that burger, or that chicken sandwich. I want the sandwich of the chicken versus the little bites.
Yeah, that's kind of how I felt too. Because I mean, I was a bigger kid though too, so I had a bigger appetite. And so I like nuggets never felt like quite enough.
Yeah, that's a real skinny kid food.
Jasmine were malnourished eating our nuggets. You're not getting
away.
a whole sandwich. I'll give you a nugget.
But I think that was the dynamic. My sister would always get chicken nuggets, and I would always get a cheeseburger Happy Meal when we go to McDonald's. So it was always kind of like she would get the nuggets, I would get them, and then we never were confused who had what. Because I was like, I had the cheeseburger, she had the chicken nuggets, and she would get that with sweet and sour sauce. And I was always like so curious. I'm like, why do you pick that over like barbecue or something else or honey mustard? And she's just like, I just really like the sweet and sour. And so, but now here as an adult, whenever I do get chicken nuggets, I'll kind of like go for sweet and sour sauce over barbecue sauce.
People love the sweet and sour sauce. I'm like, I don't hate it or love it. I'm kind of mixed on it, but people really like that sweet and sour.
It's now like a kid nostalgia thing though too, because it's like whenever we had it, I would dip my fries in her sauce and she'd get mad about it.
Typical little brother.
Absolutely. But it's definitely, I think it's a good thing to pick on, Fred. You talked about that, like doing chicken nuggets, because I think they are something that does really do call back to like, okay, yeah, as a kid, it's easy to eat. It's small, it's simple. But even now, there's people who kind of swear by it. And I think maybe that's sort of what all these like chicken sandwich wars that we already talked about last year kind of are capitalizing on, is people having this like sort of love for chicken that maybe kind of started with their chicken nuggets as kids, and now it's like, well, I could take on that full chicken sandwich, that hot chicken sandwich, you know. So to get to more into the history of the chicken nugget, I'll go over some notes here that were provided. Thank you very much, Jasmine, for sharing that.
You're welcome, resident historian here.
Yeah. So I'll just kind of go through some very quick history of the chicken nugget. I don't want to spend too much time on this because I do have one little quiz for you guys. It's a quiz I always give you, so you can start mulling it over if you remember what I asked. The chicken nugget is a relatively recent invention. Was invented at Cornell University in the 1960s, and it was kind of owed to the increasing concern of the broiler depression, is what they called.
Oh.
That dang broiler depression, you know?
I know, the very common thing. I'm just having to laugh at like reading that in this article here. By the 1950s, the poultry industry had become so large and efficient, 1 billion birds in 1955, that chicken prices started falling. So there was just too much chicken produced in the U.S., and consumers did not want to eat chicken more than once a week. That's bullshit. I eat chicken like 4 times a week right now.
Well, yeah, now you do.
Once a day.
Different times, you know. They didn't know like red meat just sits in your liver or whatever. I'm not a scientist.
Ask the people at Cornell about
Yeah.
that.
Developed the Cornish game hen.
I mean, obviously. So, chicken was only available in 3 forms at that point. It was cut up, halved, or whole chicken. So unlike beef and pork, there were no associated value-added foods or like convenience foods that American women, many of them working as longer stay-at-home housewives, could just unfreeze and heat up. So another problem was that it was difficult to salvage the meat of grade B broilers, those whose appearance, like less fleshing, discoloration was causing, incomplete defeathering. That's kind of gross to have feathers on your chicken. Make them difficult to sell. So egg production, the other sector of poultry farming, was also suffering. Egg consumption had been falling down due to a competition of red meat. And again, the lack of convenience of egg products. So this is obviously at a time when people were not worried about egg prices and not dictating other factors in our society. So egg producers are more interested not only in developing other opportunities for their product, but also in making better uses of the spent layer meat that was coming off a chicken. And basically, for broiler and egg producers, the challenge was now to extract more value from their flagging flagship productions. I took that directly from there. I tried to rephrase it. That's a very good, well-written phrase. So they wanted to sell more eggs and more chicken is kind of the long story short. So the solution came from a researcher at Cornell University, a guy named Robert C. Baker, a former poultry extension agent. Starting in the late 1950s, Baker and his team developed in their lab at Cornell an impressive variety of elaborate poultry and egg products, even designing special machinery for processing them. Once created, the new product underwent taste paneling, consumer sampling, and tests of shelf life tests, packaging, and market value. They published their findings as new marketable poultry and egg products in the Bulletin of the Poultry Meat Products developed at Cornell, which were using spent layer meat, including bacon-served chicken loaf and chicken hash.
Chicken loaf.
Talk about come out with the chicken hash. The chicken loaf. Where's that?
The chicken loaf's discontinued.
But the more important thing that came out of there was chicken sticks, because it was the recipe for chicken sticks that were the original chicken nuggets that were published in this journal. So after numerous trials to perfect the process, the chicken sticks became a cohesive ground meat product that could withstand freezing and frying without falling apart, thanks to like a special binder and batter that stuck to the meat during frying. So they later kind of described this as such. Chicken sticks was one of the popular items tested and are now produced commercially. 90 pounds of boned leghorn fowl meat resulted in 108 pounds of product before the batter coating and 103 pounds after batter was added. I don't know if I understood what I just read. Long story short, there's a lot of different ingredients put into this. They essentially ground up excess chicken parts here and created a binding agent that developed into the modern chicken nugget. And over time, chicken nuggets, I'm kind of skipping ahead here too, was needing to find a popular market. So who do they find? McDonald's, right? So it was sales were kind of being hit the late 1970s by newfound concerns for cardiovascular disease in connection with red meat. Again, Fred, right on the what you were talking about. And after several failures at adding a chicken-based product to McDonald's menus, the chairman, Fred Turner, asked in 1979 the company executive chef Rene Arend to design a nugget-sized product. At first, nuggets and then chicken nuggets were eventually what the solution came to be. And they pretty much took off of it in the early 80s. So chicken nuggets then found their way into the marketplace, and this is where I want to switch to our quiz.
Ooh.
So I kind of just gave you a tip on the first one, but I was wanting to ask you guys when you think each of these restaurants we are covering introduced their chicken nuggets to their menu. So you have to pick the exact year.
Whoa.
Or give me them in order.
Okay.
And then see if you can guess the year. So I just gave you your first hint.
McDonald's.
McDonald's
Taco Bell's first.
is number one. And for fun, let's include like Chick-fil-A just to say, because they were also kind of a pioneer in this market.
Oh.
Well, I feel it's probably Wendy's or BK next, I would think.
Yeah, I would go Wendy's.
I'd go Wendy's.
Second.
We're doing this together.
Yeah.
Wendy's.
This is team effort.
It's not Wendy's.
I'm not with them. I said Burger King.
It's also not Burger King.
I'm not with me.
The Chick-fil-A is next?
It is Chick-fil-A.
Wow.
Oh.
So McDonald's was 1981, Chick-fil-A 1982.
Oh.
I don't know anything about Chick-fil-A. I thought Chick-fil-A was much newer of a company.
No, actually, yeah, they were early 80s. So 1982, Chick-fil-A had their chicken nuggets. BK and Wendy's both introduced theirs in 1985.
Oh.
KFC is last then. And now there's some debate here because KFC officially reintroduced the chicken nuggets we're going to be tasting today in 2023.
Okay.
There is some history on the internet that says that the Colonel had introduced some Colonel nuggets back in 1984, which made them third.
Like a popcorn chicken sort of deal, probably.
Kind of.
Because they do, or they have had popcorn chicken on their menu, but that seems to be separate from their current nugget.
Mhm.
Yes.
So that's debatable. I think if you're really going into it, I think today you would say 2023 is when they introduced their chicken nuggets, which kind of weird that they waited so late for a chicken company, right? Somebody who is pretty big in that manufacturing, or am I wrong?
Well, I thought KFC for the longest time was mainly just a fried chicken. They might have had that little chicken Sammy, but they didn't really do a lot of that stuff, I feel, till like 2000s and stuff.
Yeah,
Like, I thought it was always just kind of
Like you get a
fried
bucket.
chicken.
Yeah, you get a bucket of chicken. They were late even into the chicken sandwich game too.
And now that's like a fourth of what they do, it
Yeah.
feels like. And now they've got the tenders, the nuggets, the popcorn chicken.
Everything. Yeah. It's interesting, but they are now manufacturing nuggets, even though they're a little bit different in style. But I don't want to give away too much about it if you guys don't know much about it.
I do know when you go up there and you order nuggets, they say, we do things a little different.
It's funny. But I did have to read this last thing from the Wikipedia article that they were talking about the dinosaur shaped nuggets. Finally, like they were produced by Purdue Farms in 1991.
Finally made with real chicken.
No, yeah, probably that. But
Switched over from Dino.
they convinced everyone. They're convinced that their rise in popularity was because of Jurassic Park being a thing around that time. So people wanted dinosaurs.
Spielberg was getting a cut of those Purdue sales.
Like, yeah, just slide
I would say like more like Land Before Time, maybe.
So that was kind of the quick and dirty chicken McNugget history. But what I want to know now from each of you guys, what are your predictions? Who do you think's going to have the winner of our tournament here today? Jody, you want to kick it off?
Yeah, I would say I have high expectations for KFC, just thinking that like chicken is their thing. It's newly introduced, so you think like, yeah, it's more modern. It's going to be good. Although I do have a soft spot for Wendy's nuggets. I feel like I always get their nuggets whenever I go there. Shout outs to the 4 for $4 menu.
Hell
It got me
yeah.
through many lunches. And it was so good. McDonald's, I mean, I feel like it'll be like the most identifiable of the bunch just because I remember having them so much as kids and kind of feel like they have a unique texture and even smell. Burger King, I do love Burger King, but I don't think I've ever had their nuggets, so I feel like it's kind of a wild card for me. I'm not sure what to expect from them. I feel like I'm hoping I'm pleasantly surprised, but we'll see.
Okay. What about Jasmine? What do you think?
Oh man, I feel like the chicken McNugget, for how like just everywhere it is, like it has to be so uniform. You have to go into like every McDonald's and you always have the same like experience. So like to me, the McNugget though is like you crack my brain open and you're just like hitting like the pleasure receptors, like beep bop boop, like good food, you know. But like that's what it really is. It doesn't feel like real like food necessarily. Whereas like a Wendy's nugget feels a little more substantial, and I think I like it better. Even though I don't know, they're all processed, whatever, like trash food, but that one just feels better. So I'm kind of expecting Wendy's is gonna take my top marks, and I'll probably recognize it over the others. But I don't know, maybe McDonald's will come through and surprise me. Burger King, KFC, total wild cards. I know like nothing about their nuggets, so yeah, we'll see what happens.
Okay, so Joe, you're saying KFC right now, and you're saying Wendy's?
I'll throw down for Wendy's, yeah.
Okay.
I think it's going to be KFC, but then we're going to argue whether this one is actually a nugget or not. I feel
Wait,
like
this is a Colonel Nugget.
I think it's going to be so vastly different from the other nuggets that it's going to be hard to compare them. So it's going to be hard to rank it amongst the other ones. So I guess I'm kind of thinking about the other ones. I've had a chicken nugget from McDonald's within the last year because my wife will sometimes get them, like if we get McDonald's. And I remember thinking that it seemed a lot thinner, like less meat, and just kind of not what it used to be. But that could have just been me getting older. You know, maybe I have a more refined palate. But I do recall, and I haven't had one since I was a kid, that the Burger King nuggets have a little bit of a pepperiness to them. And if they have a crunch and a pepper to it, that is gonna put it above the rest. Just because I love a little spice and I love a little crunch, which is not necessarily what you get from most nuggets. So, like, I know that's kind of not a traditional nugget thing, but I think that's something they do at Burger King is they add a little bit of that pepper in there, and I love it.
All right. So you're thinking Burger King could come through here.
I think the thing is Burger King just overall has kind of fallen off. So I'm a little worried about that. But I think Burger King in its prime, if it's like what I remember, could have a swinging shot.
Okay. I mean, they are going with the chicken.
Chicken.
They've been reinvesting in their chicken here a little bit, so we'll have to see. I'll say for my own pick, and not to be different than everybody else, but we've done 3 of these tournaments already. Every single time, I feel like the main franchise, the biggest one that we're always like, oh, it's going to be not good, is always the one that comes through. The chicken sandwich was what, McDonald's did that win?
Yeah.
Or no, it took
was high
second.
up, yeah.
No, that was Pizza Hut, right?
Pizza Hut then won pizza and
the
wings.
Pizza Hut nuggets. Did you not get-
They discontinued those who tried to get them.
So I think there's something so nostalgic, so simple, and so perfected about the McNugget that Jasmine was bringing up before that I think I'm going to go with McDonald's here, pulling it out in the end. I think everybody might know it, but I think you're going to be pretty happy with it. What's my prediction? I could be wrong. I mean, we all could be wrong at this point. Only one person's going to probably be right here, but that's my pick. I think McDonald's has a simple recipe. I don't know what a Burger King nugget tastes like. I don't think I've had Wendy's chicken nuggets in a while, and I don't think I've ever had KFC nuggets, so it's going to be kind of a toss-up here, but it'll be interesting to see. And I'll be the control for this experiment just for our listeners' sake. So I will know what all the foods are going to be, but everybody else is going to be blind taste testing each of these nuggets, and we'll rank them based on your favorites, and then everybody can guess what you think each one was, and then I will reveal which ones they were, and we'll pick a winner from there, or we'll decide who is the winner from there. So we're going to go do our taste test, and we will bring you the results right now. All right, so we've now officially tasted everything, and we have to address a couple things with the audience because some shenanigans occurred off camera or off pod that very, very, I don't even know if you want to call it, I don't know, out of good faith or not, but
It wasn't out of good faith.
So first and foremost, one thing we did forget to address that was planned was that we also got sauces from each one of the restaurants that we mentioned. And we had gotten a ranch from all of them? Or no,
Most of them.
Most of them.
not blue cheese, that's not wings. Honey mustard, barbecue, and then we got one sweet and sour from McDonald's. So as the control, I took the sweet and sour, but each person did take a specific sauce and tried to rank some of those too, with knowledge of what those are. So that was not blind. But you guys can each say what you were doing or you were reviewing for that front.
I can start. I did the barbecue, and I picked that because I think barbecue is pretty consistent, and I'm not a big ranch guy. I do think barbecue was my choice as a kid for nuggets. I think as an adult, I'm more of a honey mustard guy.
Sure.
But I think they're all pretty good. I think McDonald's kind of surprised me. I thought that was stood out. Wendy's, I think I've had those nuggets so much, I feel like I can just kind of taste like the distinct flavors in there. And then KFC's was a honey barbecue, which kind of was like a little different vibe, but it was still pretty good.
Yeah.
And then I think Burger King's is probably my least favorite. It was just kind of like it was a barbecue sauce. There was nothing spectacular about it.
Sure. So before I let Fred or Jasmine go, then I'll also go with the other shenanigans that we did because those were the barbecue sauces that we did get. But last night, Jasmine and I decided to make a little trip to go do some shopping, and right nearby was a Chick-fil-A. So we did indeed pick up some Chick-fil-A, and I inserted the nuggets in the taste testing. So they have officially, we have changed from 4 franchises to 5. Chick-fil-A is part of it. That was why I included that.
Got
as part
around
of
Jesus loophole.
we discussed it on the fly, and I said, "Are you okay going for this and inserting it?" And she said, "Yeah." And I was like, "I'm just gonna surprise Fred and Joe." Usually, I tell Fred everything we're gonna do, but
I was taken aback.
so we did get a Chick-fil-A ranch and honey mustard as well. So, Jasmine, do you want to go with your ranch rankings?
Yeah, so I had ranch sauces from McDonald's, Wendy's, Chick-fil-A, and then I also added in some Hidden Valley Ranch that we happen to have. Because, like, Hidden Valley Ranch is like the top-notch ranch, right? But also, sometimes this will happen. You'll go get your nuggies from a restaurant, you come back, you realize you don't have any sauce because you forgot to throw your sauce in. So sometimes you gotta throw something in from your pantry. So that was what that was for. Like, what if I ate it with some Hidden Valley Ranch from my fridge? As we were ending our, tastings, I was doing quite a bit of work and like writing down the top ingredients in each of the sauces because they were all surprisingly pretty different. Like I usually think all ranch kind of just tastes the same, but once you like compare them, like it was pretty surprising how noticeably different they were. All of them started with soybean oil as their top ingredient. McDonald's, Wendy's, and Hidden Valley Ranch, their second ingredient was water, whereas Chick-fil-A, it's buttermilk, where the other sauce is buttermilk is their third ingredient. Chick-fil-A also had sour cream in their ranch sauce.
Interesting.
Jesus
So-
loves buttermilk.
Yeah,
and
he
sour
loves
cream.
his dairy, buttermilk and sour cream. So for Chick-fil-A, their top 5 ingredients were soybean oil, buttermilk, water, sour cream, lactic acid. Whereas all of the others had either sugar or corn syrup as one of their top 5. So I thought that was really interesting to see like that difference. And by far, I thought Chick-fil-A sauce was the best. It was like tangier. It was like McDonald's was like weirdly bland. Wendy's and Hidden Valley Ranch were both pretty good. But Chick-fil-A definitely stood out as like a really good ranch. And I'm also not a huge like ranch person myself, but I would definitely like take Chick-fil-A ranch any day. It's actually
Wow.
pretty tasty.
All right. And Fred, you had the honey mustard then?
Yeah, I threatened to walk if I didn't get the honey mustard. Well, I got the honey mustard. I would say mostly it was all pretty bad.
Oh.
Some were a little too like creamy, especially the Wendy's and the BK. But I will say the McDonald's honey mustard had nice like mustard seeds in it. Like it had almost like you could see like the Dijon peppercorn in there.
Yeah.
And that was really good. And I hate to say the Chick-fil-A one was also really good looking. It looked like someone mixed honey and mustard and made honey mustard.
Sure.
Whereas the others kind of looked like, orange, yellow gloop. But yeah, the McDonald's and the Chick-fil-A for sauce-wise were the better honey mustards.
Okay. So, Chick-fil-A kind of came in at the final hour here. So we did rebake those chicken nuggets before you guys showed up. So I had them in the oven kind of ready to go and was just kind of hiding them around you.
Yeah, nice
So-
bake.
they're not like old, like from days old. or anything.
To be fair, all of these nuggets were sitting in the oven for a little bit, so they all kind of got a little treated at home.
Let's talk about that a little bit, just about how they withstood that heat for a little bit, because I don't know. Well, let's talk about it, right?
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
So let's go to restaurant. I'm going to refer to these as A, B, C, D, and E now. So again, we did Wendy's, Burger King, Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, and Kentucky Fried Chicken. So let's talk about restaurant A.
Well, I'm gonna jump in just to get the ball rolling and say, as I tasted these, like 3 things kind of came to my head of what I was like taking in, and one was the texture, the other was the flavor, and then just the guess of where it came from. Those were kind of the 3 things for each one. And for this one, I thought this was like the second best texture. Thought it had really good like crispy, not crunchy, but like crispy, because I don't think a nug should be crunchy. It should be crispy, kind of. And then I will say I thought it could have been like I feel when you have a nug, as gross as it sounds, you want that salty grease pop when you kind of bite into it, you know, that flavor. And these, it just wasn't quite there with the flavor, but texture, it was great. And I'll hold off on what I think it was, but I'll just say that good texture, okay flavor for the first one.
Okay. What do you think, Joe?
Yeah, I think I actually liked the taste of this a little more than Fred did. Just like appearance wise, it looked like it had a little bit of spice on it. Didn't really taste like that necessarily, but I actually really liked this one. I think I have a pretty good idea where it's from. I do think maybe this one was like a little, it's like need a little more time in the oven or like fresh out of the oven type of deal. Could have helped this one out, but I liked Restaurant A.
Okay. Jasmine?
Yeah, I thought Restaurant A was pretty good. It was like it had a little bit of that crisp, which I think is kind of necessary for a nugget. I thought like the meat to bread ratio was good. Wasn't like overly bready or anything like that. I wrote down that I could eat these plain if I had to. Like if I didn't have a sauce, I probably could eat these without sauce and I'd be okay. So yeah, I enjoyed Nugget A.
I would agree. I think Nugget A surprised me a little bit. And again, I knew which ones these were. But I think even then, I thought, yeah, I liked the flavor quite a bit. Did think it was a little chewy, which I wasn't a huge fan of. But I still thought that the meat was pretty tender and juicy. And that's kind of what I was hoping for in a lot of these. I think very few failed that. But there were a couple where I was like, eh. And obviously, we just described one of them is, was last night that it got purchased and reheated. So that's a little bit of a knock against that. But I think, yeah, fresh out of the oven, and this would have been pretty very strong, very classic chicken McNugget or chicken nuggets. See, McDonald's is already pre-programmed. Yeah, hold off what you guys think it is for now. We'll kind of say it at the end. Let's go to restaurant B. Jasmine, you want to kick off this time?
Yeah, this one I thought was similar-ish to the first one, but it was like softer, not as crispy really. It's also flatter, like it had just like less meat, it felt like overall. And it wasn't terrible, but there was something a little bit weird about the texture. I felt it was like leaving like a coating behind in my mouth that I thought was kind of odd. Yeah, it was like I could eat it, but I would probably never reorder these nuggets again. They were just like probably my least favorite.
Yeah. Okay. Fred?
Yeah, I would say compared to, I thought they were very similar to the first ones, except these did not have the texture game the first ones had. I thought there was a good flavor in there, but I don't know if it was like showcased enough in it. Like I could taste something in there I was liking, but it was like I was searching for it. So it kind of was like a little bit of a wet fart of a nugget.
Yeah. Joe?
Yeah, I didn't like the second one really at all. It kind of looked like very uniform in like at least my two nuggets, which was like, I guess you kind of expect it from fast food, but this like kind of weirded me out. I was like, these are like some AI generated nuggets or something. And yeah, they just like kind of had like a little bit of mushiness to them. And like, I think these were the only nuggets that I, like Jasmine, would probably actively avoid and wouldn't get again. So yeah, Restaurant B, I just wasn't a big fan.
Okay. I kind of agree with you guys. I thought there was more pepper in this one than the previous one. But yeah, I didn't think it was as tender. I thought the breading was decent, but like that's about the nicest thing I could say for it. I didn't think it was a very good nugget at all. And yeah, it just very, very average. That's what I wrote down. And so I think for at home, I know one of the experiments I did, I would do one dry, and we had 2 nuggets each and from each restaurant. And I did one nugget that was dry and one with sauce. And honestly, like the first one, I was like, okay, this is good. But then even when I had with sauce, I was like, whoa, that's really good. This one, I was even like just disappointed after both bites. I was like, oh, not even sauce can really save this too much. Let's go to restaurant C. Fred, do you want to start this one?
Yeah, I thought this was good, but it kind of just wasn't giving me nugget. It felt like this was like, it kind of felt like when you order some fried chicken and a piece of the chicken is kind of loose from the meat and it gets fried and breaks off of the chicken. So at the bottom of your bucket, you just have like these nice little crunchy bites.
Yeah.
I thought it was delicious, but I have a hard time comparing it to the others.
Yeah, Joe?
Yeah, I think the first thing that stood out to me about Restaurant C is just the variety and like the appearance and size of everybody's nuggets. Because I just noticed like they were inconsistent in their like breading to chicken ratio, as well as just like some like little crumbly guys and like some bigger guys. I did like it. I would agree with Fred where it's like it's almost kind of hard to compare them to A and B because it kind of feels like it's trying to do its own thing. Um, I did enjoy this nugget. I kind of was expecting to like it more if it's where I thought it was from. But you know, I'd give these nuggets another shot. It's just that I would like to grab some of the meatier boys if I was if I had the option to.
Yeah. Jazz?
Yeah, I mean, definitely was like an actual piece of breaded chicken versus a nugget, right? Which, like, there's contention on if that counts as a nugget, because what we learned earlier in the episode is that a nugget is like ground processed meat that's like shaped and fried, whereas this is like a piece of chicken that's breaded, but you know, whatever, neither here nor there. Yeah, I thought this was fine. I had a piece that was like almost all breading, and then the other one had more chicken in it, so it was like, that would be a bummer if you get like a 10 piece of this and like 2 or 3 of your pieces are just bread. So it'd probably need to be like bigger pieces of chicken, but then at that point, are you getting into chicken tender territory? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So anyway, I mean, like, I'd probably eat these again, but weren't my fave.
Yeah. I thought there was good spice. It was tender, but yeah, too bready is how I thought. And I had 2 that I thought were pretty like smaller too. So I think I got a little more of those like breaded batches, but I still thought it was tasty. The spices were really good. But yeah, that's I don't know. I mean, again, it's hard to judge some of these because they were sitting in an oven for a little while too. But at the same
How long were these sitting in the oven?
Overnight, low and slow, like the old country.
Yeah.
I just mean in general, all the nuggets we tasted today were like in there for a half hour plus, right? So it's like, I think it'd be interesting to try all of these if we like we're actually going to restaurant, like ordering them at the counter, eating them right there on the spot, you know. But even then, still thought it was all right. Let's go to restaurant D. Joe, you want to start us off with this one again?
Yeah, I think when I saw this nugget, it was like seeing an old friend that you haven't seen in a while. You're like, oh, hey, what's going on, Nuggets?
I think you knew what this one was.
Yeah, pretty sure I know what this is. I think again, this was like that thing of like very uniform in appearance. I feel like this is like the Nugget restaurant B wanted to be, but it was good. I liked it. I feel like it's just like I got like ratatouille when I been into this nugget. Like it was just so much nostalgia for this, and yeah, I liked it. It was very, very good, very solid.
Okay, Jazz.
Yeah, I agree. It is exactly the nugget that, you know, restaurant B wanted to be. Like, this is the nugget that other nuggets aspire to, I think. Like, was it my favorite nugget? I don't necessarily think so, but it was up there. And yeah, it was very like, ah, yes, this is what I compare every other nugget to. But yeah, it was uniform shape, not super chickeny, but not super bready either. Just kind of like middle of the road, exactly what you want any given time you eat these, you know?
Yeah. Fred, what do you think?
For me, these could possibly been easily the best and very recognizable, and I don't know if this was just attributed to the time in the oven. I felt they might have gotten the most damage from the oven. I felt there was a dryness to it that just because I think the nugget themselves were a little thinner than the other ones. So I did get a little dryness, but I thought flavor and texture were still pretty magnificent.
Yeah, I think I'm with you there. But even then, I thought one of mine was a little bland. But I did have one of them with sauce, and it was very classic in that regard. But I don't know. I thought it was. I don't know that it was as tasty as the others, but I still thought it was very classic. I liked how crisp it was. That's like how. That's about how crisp I want a nugget to be, and that's what I thought it hit.
And I love that smell.
And let's go to restaurant E. Jasmine, you want to kick this one off?
Yeah. These were cut much more like square than any of the other ones.
Yeah,
Which I thought was kind of
surprising.
fascinating. Was not expecting just like perfect little cubes of chicken. The breading was the lightest on these, which is like kind of nice because then it's just like a nice chicken bite. But I don't know if that like again is that like the best nugget if it's, you know, tastes a little different. But I really like the flavor on these. I would probably buy these again. yeah, they were just the most different, the most like, oh wow, I don't think I've ever seen these before, and this is very interesting. So, but I liked them.
Interesting. Fred, what do you think?
I wrote that I think these tasted the most like chicken, and I hate it. I think they're perfectly fine, but for what we're about today, I felt this was not for me. I thought this did taste like someone cut some chicken and cooked it, which is nice because that's usually not what fast food feels like.
Yeah.
But still, I didn't want that.
Wow.
I want a little bit of grease and grody when I would get my nuggets, you know?
Sure. Joe, what do you think?
Yeah, I think I would echo Jasmine and Fred. Like this reminded me a lot of Restaurant C and like the variety of appearance that these nuggets were in. But they are kind of stretching the definition of what a chicken nugget is. I did really like the taste. I did like the light breading, as Jasmine mentioned. I think that really helped because the chicken was good. This would probably be my favorite thing to eat. But kind of like Fred was saying, it's like, is this a nugget? I don't know. I feel like that's kind of up for debate.
There's going to be an interesting, I think, discussion we can have in the last end of this of whether we can judge the 5 we tasted today and then I think the 3 that would actually represent what a nugget is. Because I think that's 2 different competitions going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's totally fair to do a top 3 of like the classic nugget, top of
And
5.
then your best bite.
best bite of the
No categorization of it.
Yeah, so that we can properly define, I think, the right nugget. Because I would agree, this is not a classic nugget, but this was also probably my favorite thing I ate today. I thought it was really tasty, great spice, juicy. Like it is a piece of chicken, and it's like, yeah, surprising that you would get this at a restaurant. But yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. So that being said, what are everybody's official rankings? And Fred, maybe you can start us off.
So in last place, I have B, and I think it's from. Do I say that too, or should I just
Sure.
rank?
Give your guess.
Number 2 is my least favorite, or B is my least favorite, and I think it's from Burger King.
Mhm.
Followed by, I actually would say the last one we did, E, would be my second to last favorite. And then I would go.
Where do you think that was from?
Oh, I think that was from Chick-fil-A. And then after that, I would go number 1. I think that one was Wendy's. I thought that was just a good standard nug. I would like to try it if it came spicy. I think that sounds good. And then that just leaves me with, I would probably put C as my second favorite. And then I'm going to go, and that's from KFC, I think. And then D, I think I'm just going to give number 1, the tried and true McDonald's, which surprised me because I felt if that is the case, if that is McDonald's, usually I try to go away. I want a nugget that's different from McDonald's because that's the standard nugget. I usually try to find something that's a little different, maybe with a little bit of spice. But at the end of the day, I thought this was the best execution of what a nugget is.
Okay.
And from there, you can figure out what it would be, the group of 3 or the group of 5, because they all kind of fall in line.
Yeah, for sure. Jasmine, how about you go next?
Okay, so least favorite, I agree, it was B. And I also think that is from Burger King. Like I said, there was just something about like the after sensation that I was getting, like almost like chalky in a way that I'm like, nope, like I would not ever order these again. If I encountered them in the wild. From there, I said Nugget D as my second least, which I'm pretty sure is McDonald's. And like the problem with McDonald's nuggets is that like they are by far the best nugget when you're eating them like 5 minutes from the drive-through window. Like the fries and the nuggets, like they will outshine every single other competitor if you're eating them in like a 5-minute span. After that, the quality just like tanks so quickly. Like even just like going from like the drive-through window to like your house in like 5-10 minutes, like you start eating those fries and nuggets and it's like, oh, this isn't so good anymore. And so there's just something about the fact that like they didn't hold up as long as like the rest of the nuggets did. That was disappointing. Middle of the road was Nugget C, which I think is Chick-fil-A. Yeah, it was just, breaded chicken. It was fine. Nugget E. Again, I agree, Fred. I don't think it really counts as like a nugget in like the quintessential like way. So it didn't take my top spot, but it was the best thing that I ate. And I think that is KFC. And then my top spot I gave to Nugget A, which I'm pretty sure is Wendy's, and I thought held up the best and fit the definition of a nugget the best as well.
So we think everything's the same except for our nuggets that are different. We think.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
The chicken bites. we
Yeah, the
have, I
chicken
think,
bites we
flipped.
have flipped. Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay, Joe, what do you got?
All right. So in last place, I agree with everyone. Restaurant B, which I think is BK. Do not want to have it that way. It just was really mushy, really plain. It just left a lot to be desired. I know I had BK as a little bit of a wild card, so I'm a little disappointed in that. And I definitely would avoid these nuggets. in
No
the
Street
future.
Fighter episode. this
No.
time.
The King versus Ryu. Second to last, I have Restaurant C, which I think was KFC. I do think this is another one of those ones that was kind of stretching what a nugget is, but it's kind of unfortunate. Just a lot of breading in mine. Could have used more chicken. Maybe you could get like a better batch of these, and I would rank them higher. But I just
Yeah.
wasn't a huge fan. And then third to last, I have D, which I think is McDonald's. These were just like classic nuggets. I think this is like the baseline for nuggets, and you can kind of like judge things against them. Like Jasmine said, I think this was probably the most affected by the reheating experience. So maybe I'll go and get some McNuggets soon and eat them fresh from the drive-through. I think my favorite of the traditional nuggets is Restaurant A, which is Wendy's. I think I just used to eat these nuggets all the time. I think that's those spices just kind of reminded me of Wendy's, and I think these held up the best. Definitely recommend Fred get the spicy nuggets. Like those are even better. I would put Restaurant E as my favorite thing that I ate. It's kind of a technicality because those aren't really nuggets. I think it's kind of stretching the limit of what a nugget is. But I would say it is the best thing I had. And I thought that was Chick-fil-A.
Okay. Interesting. So I'll give my rankings and I'll reveal what everything was. So I agree with you guys. I thought Restaurant B, the second one we tasted, was last. Restaurant D, which was the classic one, it was kind of close between that one and C, which is my third one. I think I liked the flavor a little bit better. I didn't dislike either of those. I just was like, I just sort of like that one a little bit better. A, I think the more I thought about it, it surprised me a bit. So that was my second one. And then I did put E at number one as far as my bites. But then if you want to get down to just the classic nugget level, it would be ADB. So here's what each of these were. Restaurant A, you guys are correct. It was Wendy's.
Nice.
All right.
And I think if I have that categorized correctly, I think that is our winner for like the traditional nugget. Restaurant B was Burger King. Not good.
Disappointed
Not
in the
good.
King.
Yeah, I was sad. Came for the king. It was bad.
Restaurant C, I did pull a fast on you guys. That was Chick-fil-A.
Oh, okay.
Thought so, I thought
Yeah.
Wow.
So held up okay on a reheat, actually. But even still, I was like, I don't know. But McDonald's was D. Pretty unmistakable the minute you saw those nuggets. And good size. I think we almost kind of discount that. They were pretty big. Restaurant E then was KFC.
Wow.
And that, I believe, is our winner.
Whoa.
If I'm calculating this all, even with Fred's system, but I can try and weight these and try and make sure I got it right. I think because Fred put it fourth, but I think the only other thing that potentially could have ranked higher than that one would have been Wendy's. So, I mean, I think that's potentially how we just split it up. I think KFC kind of won the day as far as the overall bite, but Wendy's became the best classic McNugget because Wendy's, Burger King, McDonald's were like your chicken McNugget, whereas Chick-fil-A and KFC were definitely like, this is white meat chicken that we've cut up and deep fried. So interesting though. What do you guys think about their result? I mean, surprised, expected?
I'm a little surprised that was KFC because I kind of felt like it was Chick-fil-A and I felt
Same.
like fairly confident in that. But I liked it a lot. I'll have to try them again. Maybe next time I swing through Kentucky Fried Chicken, I'll get some more of those nugs.
Yeah, I thought I was picking up those, herbs and spices when I tasted the Chick-fil-A one, but I guess not. But when I think about it, it does also kind of taste like a Chick-fil-A sandwich.
It does. I don't know. It's good. I will say though, overall, I just want to kind of throw this out there, not to throw shade. I mean, I think because it was the reheating experience was a little bit down. I don't know that I loved anything I had today. Do you feel like anything was like blew you away?
I liked Wendy's and KFC. I would say
Like you legitimately?
Yeah, I
enjoyed
liked them. Yeah, even with the reheating experience, I would say the other ones, they were, I think, just impacted by having to be reheated. But I say those two still stood out to me and thought those were pretty tasty.
Yeah, I like what Jasmine said, where like there's a good chance that maybe the McDonald's one would take it if you were to eat it like right when it's coming out of the store. Because I kind of agree that it lost some of its luster.
But you still really liked it as your number one.
Yeah, I think it surprised me the most because I think the last time I had it was really dry, even drier than this, and it was pretty fresh from the store.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. But yeah, I think it was a good overall experience. I mean, I was just surprised by the KFC nugget. I was like, even knowing what they all were, and then when we had those, I was like, ooh, okay.
I just learned I don't like KFC because I think KFC was low for me for the chicken sandwich.
Yeah.
It was low for me for the nugget.
I think it was high for me though in the chicken sandwich too. And I remember you guys not liking the chicken
It's
sandwich.
about that Popeyes chicken sandwich.
That Popeyes chicken, which Popeyes was kind of a surprising exclusion. They don't have anything that's like a nugget on their menu.
That's like a limited time offering for them. So it's like, which I guess makes sense. It's like I kind of like KFC too, right? If you just focus on like your bone-in chicken, like that's what you're doing. Like
We should have got Popeyes wings for this round. To throw in bonus.
And Popeyes won the chicken sandwich war in my eyes, and they have now a ghost pepper chicken sandwich and it's not like real ghost. It's like spicy.
Yeah.
But I want to try some spicy Wendy's nuggets now.
oh, they're very good.
I mean,
they're so good.
I think that's the one thing that was also kind of missing with this too is that like, yeah, there's varieties of nuggets that some of these places have. And I think even like, I don't know if I saw KFC has like an extra crispy or anything like that, but they
have
definitely had
wet-
a lot
They
of
have
other
wet
sauces.
nugs, which I don't fuck with a wet nug.
No, that sounds wrong. That sounds like a
Yeah.
boneless one.
Like I'll sauce my own nugs. I don't want them pre-sauced.
Yeah, like I've always thought about. I do that now, even if like we don't really go to Buffalo Wild Wings that often. But when I go there now, I'll get the boneless plain, and then I just ask for my sauces.
I'll say this. I think Buffalo Wild Wings boneless wings are more of a chicken nugget than like what KFC and Chick-fil-A
Honestly,
serve.
probably.
Going for nugget, the final product has to come from more than one chicken. That's it's gotta come from like a big vat, and all the chickens are going in, and it gets all put together.
I mean, that is what it is, right? Like it was all of like the chicken like bits that you can't sell as like
Right.
whatever. This isn't a whole wing or a whole thigh or whatever. You just like mash it all up together with God knows what else, and then fry it up, and that's a chicken nugget. So
Yeah,
It's the hot dog of poultry.
it is.
yeah,
It
Cornell
really is.
wouldn't approve of these KFC.
These are too nice.
Chick-fil-A nuggets.
No. These don't pass my muster.
And that comes to the end, our 4th annual food tournament episode. So that means the next one's going to be our 5th. I mean, I don't want to throw things out there right now, guys, but Fred, I'm kind of looking at you since this is our show.
Oh,
If we want to commit this on Mike, I think for the 5th next year, I think we got to go for a burger.
yeah, and maybe since I'm a kind of a picky toppings guy, I'll be the distributor for that one.
Are we throwing down like flagship burgers like Big Mac v Whopper?
I think that's the way to go. We can talk more off mic, but I think that's more fun than like value burgers. Like
Yeah.
I want the Whopper versus the QPC or the Big Mac, whatever you decide.
Can we record this episode in the car and drive to
Yeah.
every drive-through window?
Tom will
eat
figure that out.
there?
I think we'll have to do that. And honestly, like if you're a listener out there and you have a recommendation for like, hey, here's a chain you guys might not look at, like I'll take a Culver's and like if somebody's like, yeah, get the double butter burger because I want to know what is the quintessential burger from each of these places. Because chicken nuggets, you're gonna get a white nug. No, you don't want the simple one, right? It's like, but for a burger, a lot of places have different types. So I would love to hear right into us. It's showmethefranchise@gmail.com.
I just have a question before we go.
Oh,
So, in case there are any rabid Wisconsinites listening to this episode wondering why Culver's was not included in this tournament, well, number one, it's a chicken tender and not a nugget. Like, they don't, offer any kind of nugget. But can we all agree that if it were included, it probably would have blown all these places out of the water?
That's the problem with like your Shake Shacks and your Culver's is sometimes it makes the playing field a little too uneven.
Yeah.
When you're working with like your McDonald's, Wendy's, Burger King, yeah, they're different in quality, but I feel like that's based on a timeline. McDonald's is the most consistent, but I feel like Burger King can be up top and then it'll be garbage. Like right now it's bad. But like, I feel like right now Wendy's is good.
Yeah.
Burger King bad. But it's been different. It's been flip-flop.
could
So
flip-flop back. You're right.
whereas McDonald's is just kind of pretty standard. So I think that's the thing when you add in Culver's, Shake Shack. I love those places, but they're just also better ingredients, better pizza.
If Papa John's would have been included in this.
But that's a good point, though, too, because I do think the Shake Shack bites are decent, but they're not like...
They were also developed by chefs at 11 Madison Park, which is like one of the world's best Michelin-starred restaurants.
Yeah.
So, like, I feel like you got to hamstring some of these players because, like, you're throwing in a heavyweight in a welterweight fight, Like, it's just not fair.
We'll do a Shake Shack episode because I think it's come up a lot, but I'm always poo-pooing it because I think it's just a little bit nicer than, you can compare a Shake Shack to, I don't know, like a Wahlburgers or something. Culver's, Wahlburgers, I don't know what else.
All the burgers.
Ian's. No, not Ian's.
That's pizza.
What's the custard place?
Cops?
That's the guy's name.
Oscars?
Oscars.
Yeah.
That was the one I was thinking
Okay.
of.
That one is a chain, yeah, that's true. Although one burned down, I think, in Wisconsin.
Or the last thing I'll say before we go related to possible food ideas is we just let Joe host and we do like a creams thing, but he doesn't have to have any.
I'll be the
But
control.
you just be the host.
That would be nice. I would love to do an ice cream tasting. Do some blizzards versus concrete mixers. That'd be something.
Well, that's a little taste right there. People hear a lot of good ideas. We'll talk off mic what we want to do.
Yeah. But we'll definitely do some burgers in the future. Now, before I let you guys go, do you have anything you'd like to plug, Jazz or Joe?
I don't have anything, but support your local art. Go to your local theater, support improv, and yeah.
Read more books, man. Just keep reading more books. Books are always great. Support your local bookstore. Don't buy from Amazon. That guy doesn't need more money. Just, I don't know, go down the street, buy a book, eat some chicken nuggets, whatever.
You
Great.
got to put your books in your bathroom. That's how you're going to read them.
Fair point. Fred, what about you? Anything to plug?
No, just keep listening to podcasts. It's nice to be back. Thank you, Tom, for making this happen, every time. And
It's what we do. And if you are liking what you are listening to, remember to rate and review this episode. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, X, and YouTube. Join our Patreon, just $1 a month for exclusive content, although we have not started charging our Patreon right now, so you can actually get in on the ground floor for free this January. Because assuming you're listening to this in January, you're not coming back to this at a later time, in which case it is $1 a month. But we'll have some content that's going to start streaming out pretty soon. Special thanks to Nick Spitza and Mike Schwantz for our opening and closing theme songs. You guys rock. Thanks for bringing the music to us. And stay tuned for our next main feed episode where we'll be talking about the Arkham games.
Alfred.
It'll be a hell of a time. And our next Patreon, I guess we can kind of say it'll probably be best party food.
Yeah, that sounds good.
And then we'll probably be starting to get into our our look back at the year accolades. So that'll be on main feed and some Patreon. So just stay tuned for all of that. And thanks again for listening. We'll see y'all next time.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Happy eating. Oh, wait, no, that's the Doughboys ending.
Yes, 'cause all I wanna do is charge my phone and drive listening to you. And work the talk